Welcome to Module 4. Today we're going to talk about prototyping and testing. We're almost halfway done with the course, and in the beginning it was a lot about mindset, a lot about thinking. And at some point you have to get concrete. And I think that's the struggle with this type of topic, is that you can get lost in the abstract. You can get lost in the ideation phase where we wonder what's possible. We are more sensitive and aware of what it means to have an empathetic lens. And now it's time to actually do something about this newfound level of empathy and awareness and these ideas that we have running through our minds and hopefully the minds of our students or the faculty that we support. Now, prototyping as a definition is right here. Now, let's look at this definition for a second. This definition seems to imply that a prototype has to be a physical object that is representing a physical object. That is true. This definition is accurate. But it's not the only definition of prototyping. And I think as technology evolves and the way in which we are able to engage in different types of planning and processes, you're going to start to see that prototyping can take on a couple different manifestations. And I want to share with you those as well as the traditional kind of idea around prototyping. And what does it mean to prototype? What does it mean to test? What does it mean to tweak our prototype? And then we're going to get into the activities that you're going to see later on in this module. So first things first, the traditional prototype definition means that we have tried to create some sort of object that's going to provide value for those people that we're empathizing with. For those people that we've empathized, defined their problem, we've ideated 10, 13, 15, 20, 80 different potential ways and tweaks that this might be able to solve the problem on their terms, because that's what design thinking is all about. But at some point, you're going to have to start making something. And so you create out of cardboard. You create out of 3D prints. You can create out of paper. You can create out of clay. You can create out of anything. And that's the really cool thing about prototyping, is that it does let you get hands-on with straws and cardboard and duct tape. It could be like when I was in high school with a shop class where you're actually digging out the mold and subtracting from your materials, from your sand, to then pour molten metal in to create an object. Yeah, there's ways to do that. And then there's ways to interact with that prototype to see and figure out what's wrong and what doesn't work. But it's not the only way. So in the STEM spaces, in English, in humanities, right? There's ways to build, there's ways to construct, and that's nothing new. We've been doing that in our classrooms for a long time. We have our mission and our castle projects. We have those replicas of different types of historical fiction, nonfiction type objects, imagery, and environments that we can create. And that can give us a strong sense of understanding how to turn written words, descriptors, into something tangible. It shows us how we can actually convert information into another form. And that's important. And I don't know how often that is explicitly presented to our students so that it's clear that they understand. That's one of the challenges that I find with hands-on experiences. I was sitting in a workshop a few months ago, and I was talking with teachers. It happened to be this workshop. I was a participant, which is always fun. And one of the teachers pushed back on creativity as a mode of creating something and said, I did that egg drop test 35 years ago. And I don't remember why it connected to the specific science objectives. And I said, well, maybe some of that's on the teacher, maybe some of that's on you, but I think it's really on the experience. How can we shift that experience so it can be memorable, hands-on, fun, engaging, but it also gives you that information that is important for you to know for the rest of your life? Because what that experience provides is not just your understanding of physics and understanding of science, but it's your understanding of how to put something together and fix it, except it isn't. Because that's a one-off, one chance only experience. It's sort of like the rest of school, right? You create this object, you get one chance to get an A, B, C, D, or F. Breathe. So we want to be more focused on how can students create something and then build on that and refine it. That's where that testing comes in, because it's for somebody. It's for your classroom community, it's for your school community or beyond, but it has to be something that's created. I remember once creating a scale replica of the Second Temple in Jerusalem, and it was 16 feet long. We made it out of cardboard. Some of it was laser cut, some of it was etched, it was painted, it was put together with paper tape, and you had this 16-foot long, incredible scale model of something that you only read about in scripture. You don't actually know what it looks like from a picture. And it was a powerful experience. I've had other opportunities to prototype that isn't just creating something physical. And I want to talk about those because I feel like those opportunities are more frequent if done right. And you have more opportunity to employ things where they're not building and constructing and making things. But it still has to be this test and then review. And we'll get to that just in just one moment. Prototyping can be storyboarding. Prototyping can be you creating something that leads to something more meaningful, but in of itself, it has substance. I'll give you a great example, and there's resources below in the module of a really powerful way of incorporating coding into Writer's Workshop, into developing stronger writing and reading literacies for our students. And it goes like this. We want to bring coding into the classroom. We want to bring it in the primaries, kindergarten, first, second, third grade. But there's not enough time in the day. So we had to create some sort of experience that could give those coding skills the prominence and the attention they deserve without losing time, without losing something else. So we had to make sure that the coding drove something more impactful. So we did it in writing, because everyone will agree in a classroom, first, second, third grade. Everyone agrees that these are pivotal years of literacy, of writing, of developing strong and tenacious writers, writers who love to write. So we designed the following. We took the visual process, that visual component of Writer's Workshop, where they're drawing out and they're creating this storyline through imagery. So that will then inspire and drive them to write more significantly versus just writing from their head, but actually seeing the story that they've created and then documenting it. So we did that with coding because you got such a more, the experience was so rich. A lot of the times in these early years, the students don't understand that their words have power. When they speak, that can be translated into writing. And so what ended up happening is that you had these students using the Scratch Junior program. They were creating their storyline. They were creating the characters. They were moving. They were speaking. They were speaking through speech bubbles, speaking through sound. And you then had this powerful artifact that has substance, can stand on its own, but it's not the final product. And I think that is the fundamental definition of prototyping that can be missed when let's build something. We're going to create an object, some sort of physical, tangible thing in which is going to be used by someone. And it's going to have gears and machinery, and it's going to have battery, electricity, powering it, whatever it is, and let's prototype that. And that is for sure one way, but there are other ways. So it's that storyboarding, it's using coding as a way to create something, but then it's going to lead to a powerful piece of written content that is authored by a student. To be able to create things like storyboarding. Right now, I'm working on a personal project with the Tech Rabbi brand, and I have to create video content. And if it's just me standing in front of a camera, I can go on the fly, and sure, I have some ideas about what I'm gonna say and what I'm gonna do, and I'll jot down some bullet points, but it's not necessary for me to build out a 15-20 panel storyboard. But what happens when someone else is involved? They don't know what's in my head. So even if there's no script, because I can speak from the heart, or even if there's a minimal script, there still needs to be guidance. So for students to create storyboards, that's prototyping, and that's powerful. Sketch notes that others can be engaged with, that's also a prototype. To build on someone else's sketch notes, to build on that learning, or to take that learning. Once again, a prototype can be something in of itself, or it could lead to something greater. And almost every time it's leading to something greater. But the question is, how much does it stand on its own? And you see this all the time. A really great example of prototypes that can stand on their own is in the automobile industry. These auto companies create these incredible prototypes, concept cars. Either they can't drive on the road, or some of them aren't even operational. Sometimes it's just from a stylistic standpoint. The interior and exterior of this automobile, imagine what it could be like. So I think the main core of this module you're going to find is, how can you take this idea of prototyping, of making something that leads to something else? How can you take that beyond the traditional, okay, I'm gonna build something because I'm gonna create a machine, I'm gonna create some sort of operational and functional device? That's the important part of this module, is understanding how things like script writing or things like the coding process can very much be about prototyping something in a way where it could be still in the digital or still in the two-dimensional realm, and it doesn't have to be converted into something three-dimensional, although it could, right? So thanks for watching this video. I'm super excited for you to engage in the Facebook group, share your thoughts, and engage with the activities below, and I can't wait to connect with you on Module 4. Thanks for watching.